live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
That's what I'm talking about, live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of 365 Sports here in beautiful New York City. Welcome on in to a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. You could always get at me on Instagram where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. You can also find me on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. If you're watching us now live on YouTube, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. And if you are consuming us after the fact that we are live, go right now, or after you listen to the episode, youtube.com/@365sportsyt, youtube.com/@365sportsyt. Subscribe. Solomon Wilcots going to join us coming up in an hour right at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. Garrett Ross back in our Waco, Texas studios. And we're going to start the show today. I'm going to get Garrett's top 10 quarterbacks in college football entering the 2026 season. I am also going to give you my list as well, and we're doing this off on 3. Ari Wasserman did release his latest college football top 10 list going into the 2026 season. Now, it is important to note while we're doing this episode live that Trinidad Chambliss is in court, and his legal team is as well, and they're trying to see if they could find a way to get him an extra year of eligibility. Obviously, if Trinidad Chambliss gets us to go his way and he gets another year of eligibility and he's back at Ole Miss, we're going to have to redo this list. But in the present time and the present day, we are operating under the assumption that Trinidad Chambliss will not be playing college football for this upcoming season. I kind of hope I'm wrong on that assumption, because even though I don't think his draft stock will be higher than what it could be, because there's a number 1 overall quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, that is clear and obvious. After that, when it gets to who's the second best quarterback in this draft class, I guess it's Ty Simpson, but it's not as if you're jumping up and down for joy and doing the Macarena and doing somersaults in the street if your team is drafting Ty Simpson in the first round. So you could argue that Trinidad Chambliss, if he did declare for the draft and didn't go back to college and didn't get that extra year of eligibility, that Trinidad Chambliss could be the second quarterback taken in this draft class. But with Chambliss wanting another year in college, sure, financially, NIL, there's a lot of incentives to do that, and there's a lot of reasons why we want to do that. But I think even though a lot of us will say from afar, well, Trinidad Chambliss had this unbelievable season this past year at Ole Miss, came out of nowhere, took the college football world by storm. The Rebels went to the semifinal. They were in the Final Four of the college football playoff. Like, yeah, from afar, when you see Carson Beck and Ty Simpson and some of these other quarterbacks after Mendoza, you may sit there and go, well, why can't Chambliss be the second quarterback taken? I think Chambliss knows down deep, even though there's a legitimate argument to be made and there's a lot of validity in what people are saying about him, that because of his size and because of his inexperience, that probably, even if he did get into the NFL draft and, even if he loses this lawsuit that's going on right now and he doesn't get this stay, that he probably wouldn't be the second quarterback taken in the draft. So I think him pursuing this as heavily as he is in a litigious situation, it's showing his hand that down deep he knows in his gut, even though people are saying, well, why can't Trinidad Chambliss be the second quarterback taken in this draft class? That he truly doesn't believe with the feedback that he got that he would, because if he was, and there was a chance he could be a first-round pick or a bare minimum a second-round pick, I think you go if you are someone that is Trinidad Chambliss, because I don't think your stock will ever be higher, especially, and I say it is supposed to go this way, because this year was supposed to be a loaded draft class, and we now know that it's not. Next year is supposed to be a loaded quarterback draft class, or a significantly better quarterback draft class than the one that we have right now for the 2026 NFL draft. So this is how we'll do it, Garrett Ross. I'm going to give you Ari Wasserman's list first.
Okay.
Then I want your list, but I want you to just give it from 10 to 1.
Ooh.
And give me the quarterback at 10, and then I'll comment on it. I have my list. I have not showed you my list, and I will tell you if your quarterback is on my list or not, and we'll have a conversation about each and every quarterback. So Here is the Ari Wasserman list from On 3. These are quarterbacks entering the 2026 season in college football. In at number 10, it will be the man that will be in his sophomore season at Notre Dame, had a very good first season with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That is C.J. Carr. If they would have just won one of those games earlier in the season where they lost by minuscule margins, I think it was 3 to Miami, 1 to A&M, Notre Dame would have been back in the college football playoffs. So some high expectations for C.J. Carr and company entering year number 2 with them being the starting quarterback. And I think a lot of Notre Dame fans, just judging by the engagement and the interactions on this list, they think C.J. Carr is way too low in at number 10. In at number 9, Brendan Sorsby, who transferred over from Cincinnati. He's now going to be paired up with Money U, and that, of course, is Texas Tech with all the money that they do have with Joey McGuire being their head coach and obviously their boosters. Texas Tech last year with 2 different quarterbacks at times did make the college football playoff, and they had a bye in the college football playoff, if memory serves me right, and they got annihilated by Oregon in a game where their offense just was not functioning. Darian Mensis had 2 other stops in his college career. The first one was Tulane. Then he bolted Tulane and headed to Duke. And we thought that maybe there was going to be a legal battle here. That did go away. Darian Mensah is now following the lineage of the last 2 seasons of Cam Ward, of Carson Beck, and Darian Mensah is off to the U, who was the runner-up in the national championship game. In at number 7, on Ari Wasserman's list, top college football quarterbacks entering the 2026 season, Lincoln Riley's had a ton of success with quarterbacks. Jaden Mayava, USC was better than what we thought they were going to be last year. Ari has them in at number 7. This guy is Mr. Consistent in college football, had some really nice comebacks this year, especially that game up against Tennessee, one of the better college football games of the season. That is Georgia's quarterback in Gunnar Stockton, who has won the last 2 SEC championship games. In at number 5, Josh Hoover. You may have saw him last when he was at TCU. He opened up that season, had a very good game, got a lot of national spotlight up against Bill Belichick and the UNC Tar Heels. Josh Hoover is now following Fernando Mendoza, going to the defending national champions with Kurt Signetti at Indiana. In at number 4, he was a Heisman Trophy finalist his first season starting for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Did not play well in the college football playoff, got exposed up against Miami, did not play well in the Big Ten championship game, up against Indiana, but overall had a very good debut season for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and that's why he was in New York as a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. That is Julian Sayin in at number 4. 2 years ago, you heard a lot about Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt was at Arizona State with their head football coach in Kenny Dillingham. A lot of people talked about Cam Skattebo. Leavitt in that year where they made it to the college football playoff, he did miss one of those games because of injury, and they did lose one of those games. We know that Arizona State ended up winning the Big 12. They went to the college football playoff, and they had a really fun game at the end where it got close after it was being a wide margin, score up against Texas, and they just came up short. Skattebo last year was a rookie for the Giants before he blew out his knee, and there was a lot more that was supposed to be put on the plate of Sam Leavitt, but he was in and out of the lineup with injuries. Now he matches up with a coach that really fits his personality. And if you could say, okay, there is one quarterback coach combination that you feel like they're the same person, it's Sam Leavitt now leaving Arizona State, where he got a lot of good coaching with Kenny Dillingham and company, and teaming up in Baton Rouge with one Lane Kiffin, the new head football coach at LSU. So Ari Wasserman expects a big year for Sam Leavitt. He has him as the 3rd-ranked quarterback in the country entering the 2026 season. In at number 2, a man that if he did come out to the NFL draft this year, he probably would have been the 2nd overall pick to the Jets. He made the college football playoff and did not have things go his way up against Indiana, where the Oregon Ducks lost 2 games this season. Both of them were to the Indiana Hoosiers, who ended up winning the national championship game. Dante Moore coming on back. I respect the decision by Dante Moore. I know he's getting paid a lot of money, and Dylan Raiola is going to be his backup transferring over from Nebraska. But for Dante Moore, for his development, I think it's in the best interest of him coming back. But with that being said, are you ever going to be better than the second overall pick in the NFL draft, which you would have been? I would say no. So for the individual development, I think it's the best thing for Dante Moore. But in terms of his draft stock, I would have just gone and entered the NFL draft this year. And then in at number 1, according to Ari Wasserman, top 10 quarterbacks in college football entering 2026, he has Arch Manning. So if you missed it real quickly, this was the list from Ari Wasserman. 1, Arch Manning. 2, Dante Moore. 3, Sam Levitt. 4, Julian Sayin. 5, Josh Hoover. 6, Gunnar Stockton. 7, Jada Mayava. 8, Darian Mensah. Brendan Sorsby in at 9, and CJ Carr in at 10. Now, Garrett, without you telling me who is on your list, with that list that I just gave you, do you have anyone that is not on your list, like that's on your list that wasn't on Ari's list? Once again, Ari's list was Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Sam Levitt, Julian Sayin, Josh Hoover, Gunnar Stockton, Jada Mayava, Darian Mensah, Brendan Sorsby, and CJ Carr.
I do. I have at least one. I have one.
Okay. Who was that?
Drew Mestamaker.
Okay. So Drew Mestamaker, who was at North Texas, and now he's teaming up with Eric Morris, who was on 365 Sports yesterday, the new head football coach replacing Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. All righty. Give me number 10 on your list. Who's number 10?
So number 10 is Drew Mestamaker. That's where I'm going to start with number 10.
Okay. Drew Mestamaker is not on my list. He was either the first or second name that I left off my list.
That's fair.
I threw him down initially, and then when I threw more names on, I said, I already reached 10, so I just had Drew Mestamaker left off, and it's a great story. The reason why I kept him off is last year he was playing in the American. Now he's going up a level. Do I think he could obviously succeed in the Big 12, especially with this coach who was his coach a year ago? Absolutely. I don't really have concerns there. But I had to put a tiebreaker somewhere and draw a line in the sand. So not playing in Power 4 football last year, even though he had prodigious stats. That's why I just kept Drew Mestamaker off my list. Who's number 9 for you?
Number 9, I have Brendan Sorsby at Texas Tech.
Okay. Not only do I have Brendan Sorsby on my list, I also have him in the 9th spot as well.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
So who do you have in at 8?
Number 8, I have Gunnar Stockton.
Okay. I have Gunnar Stockton on my list. I won't tell you where yet. Who's in at 7?
7, we're looking at Sam Levitt.
Okay, that's funny. I have Sam Levitt on my list. I also have Sam Levitt in the 7th spot.
Nice. Number 6, I'm rolling with CJ Carr.
I have CJ Carr on my list as well.
And then number 5, I'm going Josh Hoover.
Ooh, Hoover, very high up on that list. So you're buying into Hoover, who had success at TCU, getting paired up with Cignetti and kind of being Fernando Mendoza.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily pairing him with Cignetti. I think it's putting him in an offense where you have they're going to have an established rushing attack, which TCU didn't have last year, which I think hindered his numbers. And I also think you're going to have more talented pieces around him and a better offensive line for him to work behind. So that's why I have him sitting at number 5.
Okay, I have Hoover on my list. He's not that high up. Who do you have at 4?
Number 4, I have Darian Mensah.
Okay, Mensah is on my list as well. 3?
3, I have Julian Sayin, and that's one where I feel like I put him too high. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I put Julian Sayin too high.
Why?
Because last year, there were flashes. There was so much inconsistency, and I think when you look at the staff changes with Brian Hartline leaving as the offensive coordinator and heading to take the job down at USF, I think you're going to see that impact Julian Sayin and his development and processing as a quarterback this year. I think he's still going to be good. But I think that you have a lot of talent out there, especially in the Big Ten in general. So that is why I have Julian Sayin at number 3, why I'm not so high on him as other people might be.
Okay, interesting. I have Sayin high up on my list. He's also in my top 3. My concern with Julian Sayin would be this. It's not necessarily the offensive coordinator change, but that is valid. I'm not, criticizing your analysis. Mine would be the schedule they played last year.
That's fair.
Like in games that he had to play well, like, okay, he had 126 passing yards up against Texas. They then played Grambling, Ohio. He had 208 passing yards up against Washington. They played Minnesota. He only had 166 passing yards up against Illinois. They played Wisconsin. They played a bad Penn State team. They played a bad Purdue team. They played UCLA. They played Rutgers. Like, sure, they beat Michigan. Michigan, though, was not good last year. And Sain had a good second half after that early interception in the first half. And then when they played Indiana, he did not have a great game. And when they played Miami, he didn't have a great game. So in the two best opponents that they had on their schedule, in Indiana and Miami, if you want to throw Texas in there, you can. He was, in none of those games, all that impressive. So, yes, he was a Heisman Trophy finalist. Yes, he was playing in the Big Ten that has gone on to win the last 3 national championships, but the opponents were not great. And when he finally did have to play good opponents, that's where he did struggle. So that would be my question. That would be my cause for concern. But even with that concern, I still do have Julian Sain in my top 3. So you have Julian Sain 3?
Yes, I have him at 3.
Okay, who's 2?
2, I have Dante Moore. Now, the top 2 are so difficult for me to choose between. But it's kind of the same thing. I think Dante Moore is really good, but Will Stein is leaving. I think there's going to be an impact there. And I need to see more talent at the wide receiver position. I know you're going to have Decorian Moore coming back, but I need to see other people step up and help him out. But with the staff changes there, that's something that I took into consideration, and that's why I put him at number 2.
And I'm assuming in at number 1, you have Arch Manning.
I think we're going to see and people can crap on this all you want to. That's fair. I've thought he was overrated coming out of high school, but I've seen him grow. I think you're going to down the stretch. I think you started to see it click for Arch and the game slowed down. I think you have everybody coming back. You have Steve Sarkisian. You have stability within your coaching staff. And I think this year, we really last year didn't take into consideration all the talent that left along the offensive line and the defense for Texas. And I think having the growth, you have the experience on the offensive line this year. Running back's going to be interesting to see if they can take the pressure off with the people that left. But Texas is always going to have loaded running back crew. I think this is it. This is a year where you're actually going to see Arch kind of come into form and step in and become the player that people expected him to be.
I have said this before. You never want last year to happen for Arch Manning, because for the first few weeks of the season, it was Arch Manning was the king of college football to the butt of the joke of college football. In an instant game, one game up against Ohio State to start off the season. But that pressure with at times him looking like he was seeing ghosts or he had the yips, as what a lot of people thought, that was the alarming part, because this guy has had one of the best football families you could ever imagine. You know, he's a student of the game. You never thought, with how also he was waiting basically for 2 years. It's not like he was a freshman, that the moment was going to be too big. But you are right, and that's where I have a few conflicting thoughts. It's like, yeah, he played better at the end of the season. However, does that mean that he's going to be all that for the entirety of a season next year? However, I do believe, even though you don't want what happened last year to happen, the obvious statement of the day, it could end up being the best thing to happen to Arch, because you know this. People are stubborn. People don't like to be fooled. People don't like the gotcha card to be pulled. Everyone, to some capacity. Like, I felt like I was an island going into last year saying Arch can't meet the expectations, because we're talking about a guy, his first true year as a starter in college football, where people would view him a failure if he either didn't win the national championship or win the Heisman Trophy. Like, with what Texas did the 2 years prior, just getting to the final 8 or the final 4 of the college football playoff would not have been an improvement. Like, if he was a Heisman Trophy finalist, it may be a little bit of a different conversation. If you're a finalist for the Heisman Trophy, it's really tough to say that you failed in college football. But the fact that he was neither, I do think this goes two ways. You have stubborn people who believe in their initial belief of Arch Manning, and they're going to say, Arch is still that. You know, Arch is going to be the number 1 overall pick. Arch is going to win a national championship this year. Arch is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner this year. You're going to have people that say that. That's going to be 50% of the people on the seesaw. But then on the other side, you're going to have the other 50% that go, if his last name wasn't Manning, he wouldn't be the starting quarterback at Texas, or as highly talked about as the way that people are. People are going to say, I'm not taking the bait for the Heisman. I'm not taking the bait with Texas, because him and Texas together let you down last year. And that pressure, even though there will always be pressure on Arch Manning because he's Arch freaking Manning, that pressure slightly coming off, where it's not at 1,000 and now it's at 500 this year. I think that pressure lets him breathe a little bit and also learn from his mistakes from a year ago. And I'm with you. I think we're going to see a really damn good freaking version of Arch Manning this year. Like, I really do believe we are going to see Arch play some really solid football. You know what? I haven't looked at Texas's schedule yet. And obviously they're in the SEC, but sometimes SEC schedules do break your way. So they play to start the season. Who is this? Texas State? Oh, geez, easy. Then they play Ohio State. That's going to be a huge moment for him.
Yep.
Then they play UTSA. They have Tennessee. They have Oklahoma. They play Florida. They play Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Mizzou, LSU, Arkansas, and A&M. So tough out-of-conference game with Ohio State. The rest of the out-of-conferences are all cupcakes. The SEC schedule, no Alabama and no Georgia. So, we'll see what A&M could do. Arkansas, first year with Silverfield. LSU, first year with Lane Kiffin. Mizzou, you got Eli Drinkwitz there. Mississippi State. Ole Miss, we don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. Florida, they got Sumrall, but how quickly can he turn around there? Red River, that could go either way. Tennessee's always a respectable team under Josh Heupel. It's not shaking in your boots SEC schedule.
No.
Like last year, we looked at Alabama's schedule, and we said for a 6 or 7 week stretch, oh boy, they're going through the gauntlet. And they basically almost got through that gauntlet unscathed, and then they dropped that one game to Oklahoma, and then Alabama felt all those spots. And ultimately, Alabama wasn't healthy at the end of the season. So it's not an impossible schedule for Texas. Okay, I'll give you my list now. And we only had one guy that was not on each other's list.
Okay.
So I had all other of your 9 guys. The one I did not have was Drew Mestemaker.
Okay.
Here were guys I considered, but I left off my list.
Oh.
Byron Brown, who came over from USF.
Good.
Dual threat quarterback. I had to be fair though. He wasn't in a Power 4 conference last year. Now is going to Auburn with Alex Golesh, who was his coach. Dual threat quarterback. I know Auburn has been told for years they're getting a quarterback. I really think Byron Brown can have success in year 1 with War Eagle. I did not put Drew Mestemaker. I did not put Lenoris Sellers. Did you think about Lenoris Sellers 2 years ago? Very good season. Last year, things just didn't go his way at South Carolina. Now back with the Gamecocks.
I left Lenoris Sellers off because I'm not a believer in Kendall Briles as an offensive coordinator, and I do not understand that hire, and I do not see a situation where he makes him a better player.
Okay. Rocco Becht, I thought about him going over with Matt Campbell to Penn State. I think Rocco Becht could have a good season, but I just wonder if he could be a great player in college football. I believe you left this guy off his list, and I left him off my list as well. But Ari Wasserman has him as 7th. That's Jaden Mayava out of USC. Why didn't you put Jaden on your list?
I didn't put Jaden on my list because, honestly, I didn't watch enough USC to give a good answer on the caliber of the player he is. I know he is good, but I don't think he's going to be the Caleb Williams good. But at the same time, I need to see another quarterback prove it for USC. I'm not a real believer in that program, so that's why I left him off the list.
Yeah, I thought he had a good season last year. I thought he was solid. I didn't think he was incredible up against Nebraska when I watched that game. And if Raiola didn't get hurt, I really thought Nebraska was cruising to winning that game. That's the thing. The expectation has fallen so far for USC that they overachieved last year. So if I'm looking for the top 10, can I say without question that he's going to be a top 10 quarterback this year? I just think other guys, not that he's in a bad situation, but other guys are going to be set up more for success and will have more prodigious stats. Damon Williams out of Washington. I did not have him on my list, but I did think about him.
The only reason I thought about him was because he wasn't on any of the list I saw, and there was so much smoke about him leaving in the portal.
To go to
so
LSU.
I was like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be something to it. But that's another one of those situations where I can't just sit here and say I watched a ton of Washington football last year. So I'm not familiar with this game.
And he has good coaching with Jed Fish, who has been around for a while, NFL and college. I knew of him last year. I knew that he was a good quarterback last year. But he was kind of one of those guys that you're right. He was in oblivion and he was playing well. And you would mention, oh, like, look at the Washington quarterback. He's really good. So I think that there will be some more eyes on him this year. And you know who's a sneaky guy that I kept off my list? But he's had a good last 2 seasons. I don't think he's deserving of being top 10, but he deserves an honorable mention. Kevin Jennings at SMU.
I love Kevin Jennings. I think you'll see him bounce back and have a better year this year. But last year, I think he got figured out a little bit, and there were some times where the moment was a little too big for him. And that was also the case going back to the previous year when they made the playoff. Once they got to that playoff game, like, it was too big of a moment for him, and he just stumbled out of he was just all over himself. So that's one why I left him off. I'll tell you two that I have left off.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see. JKS at Cal is going to be really freaking
okay.
good. And John Mateer. I think we forget John Mateer's even involved. I know he's so inconsistent. I know that. That's why I didn't put him on there, but I have him on the outside looking in.
I'll Venmo you some money and put some bets down. Is that what you want me to do?
I mean, if you're in, we can do that.
Mateer, early on, I thought Mateer was having a special season. Then he got hurt, and I never saw the same consistency. And in that playoff game up against Alabama, they were up early, like 10-0 or 17-0. I forget what it was. And then Alabama came back and they beat them before the Crimson Tide did just get the doors blown off of them up against Indiana. So when I was going through it, I was like, I didn't really think of Mateer that much, but eventually when I was just doing my checks and balances, I'm like, oh, yeah, John Mateer, maybe. Yeah. But if I was doing top 20, I think there's a case. I don't even know if he would definitely be on my list in the top 20, but he would definitely get an honorable mention. There's no doubt about that. All right, here's my 10. In at number 10, Josh Hoover. In at number 9, Brendan Sorsby. Here's the one that we both that I did have, but you didn't have. Everybody else we have.
Okay.
Marcel Reed.
Yes.
At A&M.
Yes.
Like, Reed at one point, if they didn't lose that, I don't think he would have won the Heisman, let me be clear. But with how open the Heisman was this year, if they didn't lose that game to Texas at the end of the season when he wasn't 100% and he was clearly dealing with an injury, like, he probably would have been a Heisman Trophy finalist. And here's the thing with Marcel Reed. I don't know how much he loves college football. I don't know how much he loves football. I had a conversation with him last year, and he goes, my true love is basketball. I'm just really damn good at football. So, but which is, you hear that from players. Like, I don't love it, but you do hear that from players. I just wonder if there's a next level for Marcel Reed. But what he did this past season at A&M, there was a lot more good than bad. And there's a lot of guys on this list that were saying potential. Like, what could they do at a bigger program? We've already seen what he could do at A&M, and that's get them to the college football playoff. If they didn't have that loss to Texas, and that they didn't follow it up with just a no-show performance offensively up against Miami in the college football playoff, I think Marcel Reed would have been on a lot of these lists. So Josh Hoover in at 10, Brendan Sorsby in at 9, Marcel Reed in at 8. I put Sam Levitt in at 7. I think him and Lane Kiffin are going to have a lot of success, but there still is a little proven factor for Sam Levitt with how last year did go. When he was on the field, he played well, but now he's got to be able to stay healthy. In at number 6, Darian Mensah. I think Darian Mensah going to Miami, if I don't know what the odds are, but if I had to put a bet right now down for the Heisman Trophy, I would actually go with Darian Mensah right now. Sitting here on the 12th day of February in the year of 2026. With the stats that he's put up at Tulane and Duke, and he's playing in the same conference as he did a year ago, going from Duke to Miami, and seeing what happened to Cam Ward and seeing the way that Carson Beck came back last year, I believe Darian Mensah is going to have a huge season for Miami. You just wonder, can that program overall as a team have sustained success where they make the college football playoff last year? Are they going to be able to make it again? You know, they just got in last year. Now you have the Notre Dame protection and all that stuff. I just wonder, after a little taste of success, even though I think they got a better quarterback this year than they had last year, how will that impact the Miami Hurricanes? You know what? I haven't really even looked at the Miami schedule yet because it's only in February. Now, they play in the ACC, and the ACC ended up having a better year than what it was talked about through most of the season because they nearly almost won the ACC championship game, the national championship. But the winner of the ACC championship game was Duke, where they beat Virginia, and obviously Duke wasn't worthy of going to the college football playoff. So here is the Miami schedule for next year: Stanford, Then they play Florida A&M. Do you know who the mascot is at Florida A&M? Do you know the team nickname?
The Rattlers.
Oh, wow. That's pretty damn good.
Thanks, man.
That's good.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed by that. I saw FAMU, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Then they play Wake Forest. They play Central Michigan, Clemson, Florida State, Pitt, UNC, big game later in the year up against Notre Dame. Not early in the season, so that could ding the Hurricanes if they lose. Then Duke, Virginia Tech, and BC.
Dude, they could be 8-0 starting out. Like going into Notre Dame, they could legitimately be 8-0.
Not could. They should be.
They should be, yeah.
If they're not, it's like Stanford, the Rattlers, the Demon Deacons, Central Michigan, Clemson. You know, maybe Dabo bounces back this year.
No.
Florida State, now Malzahn's retired, and Norvell's probably a dead man walking. Pitt, they're scrappy, but they were scrappy last year, and they couldn't hang with Miami. And UNC with Belichick, I'm not going to sit there and tell you I'm a believer. So if they're not 8-0, it's a massive disappointment.
Yep.
Like bare minimum, this Miami team, and who knows with Duke and the revenge factor and all that, because Tulane, I think, beat Duke this year when they did play. So Mensa being at Duke didn't really like that whole situation. Like Tulane got up for the game and they won.
But Tulane also had Reds left. Like they weren't slouches. Tulane's a damn good football team.
Yeah, and Summerall's a heck of a coach, obviously. But now I'm getting the Florida job. If Miami's not 10-1 next year, I am severely disappointed with the Miami Hurricanes.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I wonder this. Heisman Trophy odds. Mensa's got to be what?
He's got to be in the top 3.
I was going to say top 5 just because they may go with some bigger names. But Miami is a huge program. Jeremiah Smith is 1.
That's fair.
Oh, well, now this is potential. These aren't the odds. These are just this is just a talking point on ESPN. Hold on, let me just try to find this real quickly. All right, I think this should do it. Yeah, this is on FanDuel. So let's just see real quickly. Preparing for tip-off. I'm not trying to bet. Just give me the odds. Okay, national championship. No. I just want the Heisman odds. Why can't they give me the Heisman odds? All right, let's try it this way. I'll try another site. The Arizona Republic. They have the odds. They want $1. Let's see if this will just load. I'm not going to try to give you $1 because I'm going to be cheap here. Okay. Arch Manning and C.J. Carr lead the odds to win the Heisman in this upcoming season. Both are plus 750. Indiana's Josh Hoover is plus 1,100. He's third. Jeremiah Smith is at plus 1,300. Julian Sayin is at plus 1,300. Sam Levitt and Dante Moore are plus 1,400. Darian Mensa is 8th at plus 1,500, along with Gunnar Stockton.
Man, I don't know about that.
That's a good bet.
That's a damn good bet.
Plus 1,500. That's a good bet.
That is.
All right, so I have 3, 4, 5. Darian Mensa in at 6. CJ Carr, I put him in at 5. You had Carr on your list, right?
I had CJ Carr at number 6.
Okay, so I had Carr at 5. Gunnar Stockton. I think he's one of the more disrespected quarterbacks in college football. And here's why.
He's sneaky athletic.
Fine, that's what people usually say for a white guy. But with Gunnar Stockton, he wins games. He's really good. Is he the most talented quarterback you're ever going to see? No. Is he going to be a pro quarterback? No. But, like, everyone slobbered over Diego Pavia last year, and you had good reason to slobber over Diego Pavia. He had a really good season at Vanderbilt. But Gunnar Stockton, if he was just more outspoken and wasn't just such, like, a good guy and just kind of didn't want to be Johnny Manziel like how Diego Pavia wants to be, I think people would talk about Gunnar Stockton a lot differently. This guy gets a lot of heat for the last 2 years. All he does, and I get they haven't won a college football playoff game, and he got thrown into the fire late a year ago, but Gunnar Stockton, this guy just produces and he has clutch moments. So I put Gunnar Stockton in at 4. Now, this was tricky. 3, 2, and 1. I put Arch Manning 3.
Okay.
I originally had him 2, But then I put Julian Sayin in at 2, and I swapped him. Manning 3, Sayin 2. Sayin was a Heisman Trophy finalist last year. He just had more of a level of success, even though there were flaws with that schedule. He didn't play well at the end of the season. I know that they lost Brian Hartline. There's no more Carnell Tate, but you still have the best player, I would argue, in college football in Jeremiah Smith for another year. So that was the slight difference, just previous success and Sayin doing it at a better level slightly last year over Arch Manning. So I put Julian Sayin in at 2, and then Dante Moore ended up taking my number 1 spot. So last year, I think a lot of people would have said Cade Klubnik was the best quarterback in college football, and he was a disaster. Him and Clemson were a disaster. So I do wonder, with now it being Dante Moore for me and yours was Arch Manning, how we're going to be talking about both those guys at the end of the season. So my top 10 quarterbacks in college football entering this season: Dante Moore 1, Julian Sayin 2, Arch Manning 3, Gunnar Stockton 4, CJ Carr 5, Darian Mensah 6, Sam Levitt 7, Marcel Reed 8, Brendan Sorsby 9, and Josh Hoover, build a Hoover Dam, in at number 10. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports.
For the past 4 years, we have trusted Jackery to keep us powered while on the road. The Explorer 5000 Plus provides 5,040 watt-hours of portable power to pair it with the smart transfer switch to power your entire house off the Explorer 5000 Plus.
I had a panic moment running my hands through my hair.
And that's when I found Keeps. Keeps gave me the results that I was really looking for.
I definitely felt a lot more confident once I saw my hair coming back.
Keeps has given me the control of my hair back.
Get your first month free at Keeps.com.
Number 1, the best bang for your buck. Number 2, we put out educational content. Number 3, our customer service and sales team. Number 4, we work to ship all orders out same or next day. Number 5, reviews. Let the gains begin.
Meet Beagle, your financial concierge. Find your old 401k. Discover your 401k hidden fees. Roll over and save thousands. Unlock your 401k and IRA. MeetBeagle.com.
The Lumi Charge is an all-in-one home desk lamp, speaker, and phone charger. It is a great...
I need that for my son when he goes off to college.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. Hold on, is this accurate? We do. We have breaking news from Pete Nakos. The NCAA has denied Ole Miss's request for a reconsideration of QB Trinidad Chambliss eligibility waiver. Sources tell On3, Ross Ellinger first. The decision came before Chambliss's eligibility hearing in court began today and doesn't have any bearing on the judge's decision. Well, that's confusing. Wait, hold on. Garrett, not that you're going to be a litigious expert. NCAA has denied Ole Miss's request for a reconsideration of quarterback Trinidad Chambliss's eligibility waiver. Sources tell On3, Ross Dellinger first. Now, Chambliss today is in court.
Right.
And I see Joe Judge talking about like how if you have a kid, like you shouldn't, and you want to be a quarterback, you shouldn't be waking up to feed the kid in the middle of the night. Like I thought that was fake news, but I saw something along the lines of that. The decision came before Chambliss's eligibility hearing in court began today and doesn't have any bearing on the judge's decision. If there's ever a statement that just shows how powerless the NCAA is, because this is how I interpret this, that the NCAA is saying, hey, we're not reconsidering our stance. We're standing by it. okay, it's in court now. If the courts come back and say, no, you're getting that year of eligibility back and we'll grant you another year, then I guess this ruling today is just the NCAA trying to insert themselves into the conversation and swing their Johnson to try to make it appear like they have power, but in reality, they don't have that much power.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those weird situations, and that's kind of where the NCAA finds themselves. And you can't make that ruling, and then if it goes to court, say he can't play. That's just asking to get sued again. So this is them trying to act like they have some sway, and they have nothing.
You know what it's like? It's like when, what do you call it? A show cause, right? I always mess that up. Sometimes I say a show clause, I sometimes say. I don't know why. It's like when the NCAA said, hey, we're going to give Jim Harbaugh a show cause. Well, like, okay, great. The guy doesn't want to coach college football anymore. It'd be like if I left 365 Sports and Corey Dickman said, Zach Gelb is banned from 365 Sports for 5 years. Well, I left.
Yeah.
So, like, what can you do?
Nothing.
So here's more from Dellinger. Ole Miss submitted the request, blah, blah, blah. They show a photo of Chambliss on stand. Here it is. Important piece in the Chambliss hearing. His Ferris State coach told him that he'd be medically redshirting for the 2022 season, the season in which he is now arguing to regain eligibility. So that's the whole hold up here, and that's where we're going to see what happens. The NCAA says no, and now we'll see if a judge ends up saying yes. Do you want to see another year, Garrett, of Trinidad Chambliss in college football?
I do, but I don't like seeing these guys sue to get extra eligibility. Like I'm hope they come to the point where we see the 5-for-5 situation come out. But yeah, as a fan of college football, hell yeah, I want to watch Trinidad Chambliss play because you're not going to see that. He's not going to be able to go and do that at the NFL. He's special. He's like a Johnny Manziel or something. Every once in a while we get these great college quarterbacks. Mateer is a good college quarterback. But yeah, I want to see him excel.
Well, like, for example, you knew when you were watching Tim Tebow, who's arguably the greatest college quarterback of all time.
Yeah, but
most people knew Tim Tebow was going to do nothing in the pros. Manziel, you knew because of commitment issues, he was going to be nothing in the pros. And sometimes narratives do form where they take it to the next level. And there's just some guys that are really damn good, or dare I say, great college quarterbacks. Like, do I think Trinidad Chambliss is going to be a great pro quarterback? No. If the NFL thought he could, in a year where this is wide open, he wouldn't be in court right now.
Well,
he would be in the NFL draft.
I think if he thought he could, he wouldn't be fighting to be in college.
Well, clearly the feedback that he got back suggests that they don't expect him to go in the first 2 rounds.
Right.
So I would like to see another year of Trinidad Chambliss, and here's why. I think it's case by case. If it was his 5th year in the spotlight, I would say, okay, like I don't need a Perry Ellis situation. That's always like whenever I feel like there's an old player in a sport, I say Perry Ellis. Like for Trinidad Chambliss, most of us didn't even know who he was, even though he was recruited by Temple in last offseason, my alma mater, go Owls. Most of us didn't have a damn clue who he was. And last year was so fun. I don't know about you, Garrett, but when we started to find out more and more about Trinidad Chambliss, like originally I would Google, like, how many years of eligibility does he have? And sometimes it would come back, he has 2 years of eligibility remaining. And then as the season did go on, someone clarified that for me. They're like, no, this is probably his last year of eligibility in college football. So when you come onto the scene really out of nowhere, and he was originally the backup quarterback last year at Ole Miss, people are then going to sit there and they're going to say, well, hold on. Like, I was told when I Google he has 2 years of eligibility. Now I'm told that he has none, and Google ended up getting it wrong. Whoever had the information getting it ended up getting it wrong. But I think there is a part of me, if this was 5 true years of Trinidad Chambliss when he was in the spotlight and we saw him and like we just heard him play over and over and over, like kind of a Stetson Bennett. Yeah. But like you knew, like, okay, dude, you look like you're 40 playing college football. It was like enough already. But for a guy like Chambliss who just got into the national spotlight, I would have no problem seeing him play another year next season in college football. I kind of hope he gets the eligibility.
I do too. And like, if it's all about a coach at Ferris State hanging this up, then why isn't he on the stand?
I think he is.
Okay. They're good.
I would imagine. I would imagine the coach at Ferris State is going to help. Like, why would he not try to? Why would he not try to help Trinidad Chambliss?
Yeah.
So, Let me just Google Ferris State real quickly. But I would assume that just makes logical sense that he would have to be on the stand in some capacity for this. So we'll keep you up to date on that. Trinidad Chambliss testifies that before the 2020 season, Ferris State head coach Tony Anise told him he was being medically redshirted. That's the big one for this case. So we'll see if that ends up happening. I just see a lot of stuff on Chambliss on the stand. Now, let's get to something very serious here in college football. This is now back-to-back seasons. BYU is dealing with a big-time off-the-field issue. So Parker Kingston, who was the leading wide receiver for the BYU Cougars last year, he has been arrested and charged with felony rape. Now, obviously, when you get arrested and charged with felony rape, you're not in a good situation. To make matters worse, though, this is from 4 days ago. On social media, it was a BYU-Utah basketball game. And Parker Kingston was there. And Parker Kingston is shown on the Jumbotron. And they revealed that he's engaged. This is from Ben Criddle, who is a host for ESPN, The Fan. He covers BYU sports. So 4 days ago, you make your announcement that you are engaged. And then it comes out that there was a year-long rape investigation. And then 4 days later, or 3 days later, because I guess he got charged yesterday, he has been arrested and charged with first-degree felony rape. Now, obviously, they don't list the name of the victim here. I'm assuming, and if I'm wrong on this, I'm wrong on this. I'm assuming the woman that he got engaged to wasn't the woman that he allegedly raped. That's just the assumption I'm going to make. But here's the article from ESPN. BYU wide receiver Parker Kingston has been charged with first-degree felony rape, the Washington County, Utah Attorney's Office announced on Wednesday. The charge comes after a nearly year-long investigation that began when a 20-year-old woman reported a sexual assault to officers at the St. George Regional Hospital. The attorney's office said in a news release, the woman told officers that Kingston sexually assaulted her on February 23rd, 2025, according to the release. Detectives with the St. George Police Department then gathered digital and forensic evidence, the attorney office said. They also conducted interviews with the parties involved and other witnesses. The information was then turned over to the Washington County Attorney's Office for review. Kingston is being held without bail in Washington County and is scheduled to appear in Utah's 5th Judicial District Court on Friday. BYU became aware of the arrest of Parker Kingston. The athletic department said in a statement, the university takes any allegations very seriously and will cooperate with law enforcement. Due to federal and university privacy laws and practices for students, the university will not be able to provide additional comment. Kingston was BYU's leading receiver in 2025, catching 66 passes for 924 yards and 5 touchdowns. This is the second, if you remember, high-profile allegation of rape against a BYU football player in the past year. In May, former quarterback Jake Retzloff was accused of rape in a civil lawsuit before the parties jointly agreed in June to dismiss the case with prejudice, meaning it could not be refiled. No criminal charges were filed against Retzloff. However, he would have faced a lengthy suspension for violating BYU's honor code, which prohibits premarital sex, and transferred to Tulane. So now this is back-to-back off seasons with a situation surrounding rape. With Retzloff, obviously, it was settled, and because of the honor code, because you can't have premarital sex, I think he would have been suspended for like 6 games or something. He transferred to Tulane. Obviously, this one is viewed to be a lot more serious because he was actually charged, Parker Kingston, with first-degree felony rape. It goes without being said, if he is guilty, he deserves to be in a jail cell for the rest of his life or a very long time, bare minimum. But if he's not, and let's say that this comes out that this was consensual sex, bottom line, he played, and who knows when, and this is not really where we should go, but there is a football element to it where, like, what could be the player's eligibility? Like, if he gets off of this or if it gets settled, whatever it does, and who knows the timeline of this, to be fair. I'm not a lawyer, and obviously this is something above my pay grade, and this is very serious. But if this goes in his favor, and he's not in a jail cell for a very long time, then he will either have to take the suspension from BYU or he will transfer somewhere else, probably the most likely option if he gets off. And, he will continue his career somewhere else. But what a wild story and what a horrible story when, you're announcing your engagement 4 days ago, and then 3 days later, you're arrested and charged with felony rape. And here's the fascinating part about this, Garrett, too. Obviously, it's a horrible situation, and you hope the victim gets the help that she needs, and she's the person that we should be talking about, obviously, first, but it is a football story involving a high-profile football player. It's I wonder when the fiance knew.
Yeah.
This is a year-long investigation. You would think, your fiance would have to know, or did he keep it from his fiance? And just the timing of this, where 4 days ago, right? It should be the happiest time of your life. And you're engaged and you announce you're engaged. And not only announce you're engaged, it's not like you just made an Instagram post.
It's a public.
You went to a BYU basketball game and you get put up on the Jumbotron. You're sitting there with your fiance. You're showing off the bling. And then 3 days later, it comes out that you're arrested and charged with felony rape. Behind the scenes of this, I would love to know what the fiance knew.
No, that's a really good point, because you would think at some point in time, if you are being investigated for that long, something has come up or he's had to go and have some conversation somewhere.
Right.
That you would think without a doubt that's the case. For me, bigger picture too, at some point, does this start coming back on Kalani Sitake? And are there people looking at do you have an institutional cultural problem? You also have a new AD coming in that didn't hire him. Does that play into this as well? There's also, I've seen numerous people, and this is from multiple aspects of it, BYU people or people of the Mormon faith who aren't big fans of the athletic department bringing in these players with NIL who aren't necessarily tied in with the church, and that are looking at this kind of being a slippery slope for them as an institution in their beliefs. So there's layers to this that we're going to see unfold. But at the end of the day, it really goes back to the victim. And when you have no bail set, to me, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, because usually there would be a bail set in this situation. Not that I am Amy Dash, a legal expert, but I was reading an article online, and it's it's so telling how obviously it goes without being said, it's serious, but how bad it does appear even worse. It's a weird conversation to have. We're talking about rape. Obviously, everything's bad when you're talking about rape. Right. But the fact that there's no bail set,
that's daunting.
That's a headline grabber. That's whoa, this is very serious, but serious, and then on steroids when you get that. So I would think just from afar, and who knows, you remember the Duke situation back in the day, or just last year with Jake Retzloff, that the initial reporting, it's not always true. It doesn't always hold up. You are innocent until proven guilty, even though in the court of public opinion, it's guilty until proven innocent. But in this case, when you're arrested and charged with felony rape, I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt, or I'm not thinking that it's likely, even though it could, that this ends in a good outcome for you. And then you factor in that, yes, no bail was set for Parker Kingston as well. So back-to-back years with issues for BYU. Now, you were around Baylor with the whole Brile situation, correct?
I wasn't covering. I've lived here, obviously, and I was very familiar with it, but I wasn't on the beat during that time.
Yeah, I do wonder from a coverage standpoint, and obviously this goes without being said, one woman getting raped is just disgusting. But when it's multiple and there's a pattern, that's when in the news cycle, more and more people pay attention to this. This is going to sound shitty to say. The Parker Kingston situation at BYU is absolutely horrific. But in the national media landscape, especially in a week where there's really nothing to talk about, I'm not seeing this everywhere on so many shows. It's a headline. I read it. I saw it online. It's a horrible situation. But and this goes back to Retzloff last year, but that got settled. I do wonder, because you talk about maybe this getting back on Sitake, I do wonder if that conversation does eventually happen.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know it's different, but look at Georgia with how many off-the-field issues Georgia has had. And Kirby Smart really hasn't been crushed for it. Now, we're talking about a lot of it issues with car, drinking and driving. Clearly something that is not good. No one should drink and drive. But when you have rape, it's like, oh, my God, like, what the heck is going on in your program? And sure, there's a conversation to what level of accountability when we're dealing with college kids, but also college kids that are professionals and they're getting paid. You know, what's the level of responsibility with the coach? So I guess it's like, are there more instances of this happening with BYU? And that, to answer your question, is when it would go on Kalani Sitake. Because there's certain things you could recover from.
Right. But back to back, man,
no, you just don't recover from rape.
Yeah, not like that.
Like, unfortunate if, like, you know, this is near and dear to my heart. My mom was once hit by a drunk driver when she was a kid. Like, if you're drinking and driving and you're a college athlete, you're an idiot, number one. But number two, if you don't kill anybody and you just get arrested, like, you can recover from that. You're raping someone.
Yeah, that's
you're not recovering from that. Like, you know, that's just the reality of the situation. Like, you know, you go steal something from a store, you could recover from that. But this Parker Kingston situation, it is definitely serious, and it is something that we're going to see what happens. But once again, the leading wide receiver at BYU last year has been charged with first-degree felony rape, and he is being held in a jail cell right now without bail, and that story does go back out from yesterday. All righty, let's go out to the guest line right now and welcome in one of our favorites. He does a great job each and every morning on Sirius XM NFL Radio. We'll talk a bunch of things when it comes to the world of the NFL. That's our guy, Solomon Wilcots. Solly, how you been?
Zach, hey, I'm doing great. It was great seeing you in San Francisco at the Super Bowl, and great to be on with it today.
So let's start off with the Patriots from the losing side of the Super Bowl. They're under fire now. Will Campbell was horrible at the left tackle spot. Drake May didn't have a good Super Bowl. I understand that's an isolated game. It's a Super Bowl, for crying out loud. I still look back at the Patriots having a very good year. Maybe there's a conversation down the road of Will Campbell moving to left guard, but Mike Vrabel comes on out and he says, that's our left tackle. How do you kind of look back of year one together with Drake May and Will Campbell?
Yeah, I think you take the larger body of work, right? You don't just separate one game. The one game doesn't define their rookie season or the entire season for a second-year quarterback like Drake May. I think you have to take the entire body of work and you say, by and large, these guys were overachievers just to be such young players, including Will Campbell. I mean, the guy had a really great season. He answered the bell each and every week and had some really tough outings against a game like Myles Garrett. And then again, you saw in the Super Bowl where not only he, even some of the veterans on the other side, on the right side of that offensive line, were also overmatched. There's a reason why the Seattle Seahawks came in as the only team with 4 players on their defensive line who had 40 or more pressures throughout the regular season. No other team had that kind of production, that kind of diversification across their entire defensive line. So we knew that the Patriots were really up against it. Some people predicted it would be a blowout. It wasn't that, because I do think they were very competitive. But I think by and large, you could say that the Patriots have come a long way in a very short period of time. And they did that with a lot of young players, a lot of first and second year players on their roster.
Now, there's always a takeaway when a team wins. What's the copycat formula that the rest of the league does approach? I have 2 for you with the Seattle Seahawks. The first one, I don't think it's going to happen, but you did have a Super Bowl where it was 2 defensive head coaches going up against one another.
Yeah.
Mike McDonald, right, like could be viewed as the Sean McVay of the defensive side of the ball now. Do you think the league, especially with the success of D'Amico Ryans, we just saw Jesse Minter get hired, Robert Saleh as well, do you think the league may be more inclined to hire defensive-minded head coaches?
I think they ought to be. And if they're not, then they're just not paying attention. You go back and look at the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know about Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, arguably 3 Hall of Fame coaches, all won Super Bowl titles. All 3 of them cut their teeth on the defensive side of the ball. I think we overemphasize, and you never hear the word genius applied to these defensive coaches who are formidable in every single way as leaders of men, as really good X's and O's and scheme guys that know how to go out and dominate and win games and can match wits with any of these young offensive coaches who were so quick to give the title of genius to. You go back to the NFC title game. Remember, it was 4th and 4 at the 6-yard line as it looked like the Rams were going in with the MVP quarterback, Matthew Stafford. They're going in at the Seattle 6-yard line. And you could see Sean McVay is running down there. He doesn't know whether to call timeout. He's trying to figure out what to do. But guess what? Mike McDonald was in his bag. He had the right defense on. They looked like they were coming with an all-out blitz. They ended up bringing 3, dropping 8, forced an incompleted pass from Matthew Stafford, who threw it to his tight end at the back of the end zone, covered by one of your best covered corners in Devin Weatherspoon. Guess what? It was the last time that they would cross the 50-yard line and be in Seattle territory. They wouldn't get a chance to score again, and Seattle punched the ticket to go to the Super Bowl. That is 2 defensive coaches, or I should say a defensive coach and an offensive coach, and Sean McVay and Mike McDonald matching wits. And guess what? Checkmate for Mike McDonald. He won the chess match.
Solomon Wilcots here with us. Does a great job, Sirius XM NFL Radio. And that's another thing, too. I think people look, at least fans do. I don't know if teams do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do. They look at the hiring process the wrong way. They go, oh, we have a young quarterback. We need an offensive-minded coach. Like, look at Mike Vrabel with Drake May. Or, oh, you know, we just failed with an offensive-minded coach. Let's go get a defensive-minded coach. We can't repeat history. What I want, and it's very simple, I'll dumb it down. I want a leader of men that's a player's coach but isn't a doormat. That's what I think coaching now is in the year of 2026.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you see all across the league, you see some coaches acquiescing to the star quarterback and buddying up to certain players who they know have control of the locker room and really trying to make sure that they adhere to some of the things that they heard in the interview from ownership and the general manager, and even from the chorus line that the fans, right, that they like to echo. And there's some teams, let's face it, I think they quite find themselves in that hiring cycle almost every 3 to 4 years, right? But then there are some teams that understand, I think you named it, you called it leader of men. I call it just having great team builders. You have to understand that there are several mechanisms that really are in play when you're talking about being a great team builder. One is to recognize talent. The other is to recognize leaders that you're going to empower so that they become team leaders on your football team. Think about Seattle along the way. After a Rams game when Sam Darnold threw 5 interceptions against the Rams. And it was Ernest Jones who came out and said, look, Sam Darnold's our quarterback. And anybody who don't believe it, you could just get the hell out. I mean, he took ownership and took control. The coach didn't have to do that. Mike McDonald didn't have to do it. It was the players who took ownership and embraced Sam Darnold and encouraged Sam Darnold. I don't care whatever a coach do. If that player goes into the locker room with the other 52 guys and he don't feel at home there and he hasn't won those guys over, a coach can't do anything to help him. Trust me when I tell you. So it's really about finding the right players to build out your roster and allow them to be the leaders that guide that team through tough and difficult times. To me, that's what the best coaches do. And oh, by the way, when a game breaks out and 40 seconds is left on the clock and you got to decide to go for it on 4th down, take the points or kick the field goal, how do we convert in this red zone possession? You better have the scheme, the X's and O's, and the ability to manage the clock to really provide the difference for your team. You better be able to coach when a ball game breaks out.
And not only did Darnold in that game, in one of the previous matchups, throw 4 or 5 interceptions, they almost won the game at the end.
That's right.
Where they missed like a 61 or a 62-yard field goal. So you could play that poorly and still almost beat one of the best teams in the NFL. It's probably when a lot of us should have known that Seattle had something. The other takeaway here, Solomon Wilcots, is there's probably only right now 5 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I would say it's Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Matthew Stafford. There's a lot of good quarterbacks that get paid elite great money, $55, $60 million a year. Mm-hmm. When you have a guy like Sam Darnold, who's getting $33 to $35 million a year, and he's good, but he's not great. You like a lot of quarterbacks, not taking anything away from Sam, could have won that Super Bowl with the Seahawks. Do you think that will change the approach and the pay structure that the owners give on out to these quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think it'll change, but in this way, because I think if we were to really be fair, we would say that, let's say Sam Darnold, let's say, not maybe Justin Herbert, but I think you can put him in there too. Certainly guys like Tua. I would say there's a second tier level for quarterbacks that maybe it's not, let's just say that let's give a number now, 50 million a year.
Jared Goff.
Let's just say there's a $40 million or $30 million a year. So I think there's that upper tier. You name 5 guys, and maybe you can put 1 or 2 more in that group, but maybe not. But let's just say there's that upper tier. But I think there's a second tier of these quarterbacks. Like a Daniel Jones would fit in that group, right? He was red hot. He's playing great. Had he finished the season healthy, let's just say they make it in the playoffs. Are you still ready to put him in that elite tier? Probably not. But does he deserve to be in that second tier, right around 40 million a year? I think, yeah, And then I think there's a third tier for these guys that had one good year and maybe their contract is up, but you still need to prove a whole lot more. And there's that third tier, maybe 30 to 35 mil a year, which is still a lot of money, by the way, right? But you and I both know that quarterback needs a lot of help to win games. He's not going to carry you each and every week, but yet he's serviceable and he's very good. And the teammates all believe in him. So I think we got to start looking at these quarterbacks in tiers and not necessarily discount those quarterbacks who are in that third tier, because I think a third tier quarterback, given how you structure the team around them, can win you a Super Bowl.
And I know the situation is different, but Jerry Jones, looking back at it, it was a dog and pony show, but they made Dak wait. I think making people wait isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, look at the Jaguars, even though Trevor Lawrence bounced back this year. You look at other situations around the league, like Tua and Kyler Murray. Like a guy like CJ Stroud this year, Solomon, if I'm the Texans, I'm saying, no, go play out your 4th year. I'm not running to go give you a big $55 million extension this year, even though you did make the playoffs and won a playoff game in each of your first 3 years in the league.
I totally agree with that. I think it's going to be difficult, too, to quantify where CJ Stroud is right now in his career. Based on what we saw recently, you and I both know that was an extreme departure from any of the consistencies that we saw from him early in his career. There's been a precipitous decline, the inconsistency. I'm not so sure that I, as a coach, would have left him in the game, because I think you owe the other 52 guys the benefit of the doubt that, hey, they're playing good enough to win us this game, and maybe Davis Mills can give us something. I don't think that they were prepared to live with the fallout for what that looked like had they pulled CJ Stroud out of the game and they would have gone on to win it. Now what do you do? Or if they go on to lose it, now you're answering these questions all off season. But I do think they're at a crossroads as to whether or not to pay CJ Stroud. I'm going to have a conversation with CJ Stroud, by the way, and I'm going to pull him into my office as his head coach and say, look, we love you. We believe in you. Probably not going to do a contract right now. We need to see more. That last game was kind of concerning. Is there anything in your personal life that we should know about? Is there anything that we should be discussing? Because that was so much unlike what we expect from you. Did you get a call in the middle of the night? Was there something to disrupt or distract you from your focus? Because that was not what we're accustomed to seeing. And we're going to need to see more before we can move on with a larger contract. I would think even CJ Stroud would understand that, given what that game looked like in New England, where the defense kept them in the game. Everyone's playing great. They created easy throws for him that were one hoppers where the ball was thrown in the ground. So, look, I'm used to seeing him play better. I know he expects to play better, but it was not deserving and worthy of these blockbuster contracts that we see going to quarterbacks that rightfully deserve them. So I think we need to see a little bit more from CJ Stroud before that contract is realized.
Yesterday, I did a segment, and it was like 12 or 15 players and just how we're going to be talking about them this offseason. And most of it was players that could want out or that they are free agents where they could land. And I said, here's a wild card player where I don't think he's going to be demanding out this offseason, to be clear. But I wonder if any report comes out about his level of trust with the organization and his happiness. And that's your quarterback in Joe Burrow. What do you make of the Joe Burrow conversation right now? And could he maybe start to think about having 1 foot in, 1 foot out in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow is totally committed to his coach, to his teammates, and to winning. I do believe that there are some questions with regard to, is the franchise really prepared to build an infrastructure around him that's going to allow him to, even when he's playing at his best, for these games to turn out differently than what they've turned out, and for the season to turn out differently. Now, I think he knows that he's got to stay healthy, but you and I both know staying healthy is not a skill. It's not a talent, right? When you go to the combine, we aren't testing for players and their ability to stay healthy, because some of that is luck. Like, you're going to get hit, you're going to be able to get back up, and sometimes you're going to fall and you're going to get hit and you're not going to get back up. That injuries are an inherent part of our game. But I do believe, after missing the playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons, for having this team, the Cincinnati Bengals, have scored 30 or more points in 16 games over the last 2 years. And I think they've lost about half of those games. I think they were 9 and 7 in those games over the last 2 years when they have scored 30 or more points. So they were like 1 above 500 in that category. They should be winning more of those games. So I think those are the things that Joe Burrow is looking at. There's no doubt he understands the history of the organization. He knows about Carson Palmer and what Carson went through when he was here, a former first overall pick who was supremely talented and asked to no longer play for the Bengals, and then went on to play for the Raiders and then for the Cardinals, right? I think he knows all of that. Joe Burrow is a very smart and well-aware young man. And I do think he has tried to send the right messages to the team that, look, if we can't get it done together, then there may come a time where we may have to explore, how you can get it done with someone else, or maybe how I can get it done with someone else. He hasn't said those things, and I'm not saying that's what he's saying, but you got to know that's in the air. I think any smart, intelligent person can look at the situation and know that those cards are on the table. The Bengals and the team and the players and the coaches, they've got to win, or things could be changing rather quickly.
Which way does Solomon Wilcots lie on this one? Will Maxx Crosby be on the Raiders come week 1?
Wow. I mean, that's a tough one. No, I don't think he will. 7 seasons, I think, already with the Raiders. He's been through multiple regime changes. I think 5 different coaches in the last 5 seasons. I mean, he deserves the opportunity to go win and win now. And I do believe that Clint Kubiak will try to talk to him, and he's like, hey, coach, look, I believe you guys are ultimately going to win. I believe in you. I believe that all the other coaches who sat, in that chair and told me the same things. I've given them my time. You have more time. I don't have more time. The time ticks faster on the player's clock than it does the coach's clock. And so I think he'll find the right words, the right message. And I think it'll resonate with someone like a Tom Brady and the people who really understand what players go through when they put their life and limb on the line to try to win ball games, knowing that they need more help to get that done, but yet the help is not in the building at present time. So I think calmer heads will prevail. And if they can get the right compensation, then why not? I think it's a good time for both the team and the player to maybe go their separate ways, as long as the team is fairly compensated.
You get to A.J. Brown. Can the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and can the star wide receiver, A.J. Brown, coexist? Or have we seen this for the last 3-4 years? Clearly, they won a Super Bowl together, and it's just time for a divorce. Like, there were some good times, but now this relationship's just not working anymore.
No, I think the relationship is fine. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's bad. I don't think they've hit the rocks. I think A.J. Brown has been telling people it's not going to get fixed. I think that was targeting the offensive coordinator. I think that was targeting the play selection. I think that was targeting Kevin Patullo more than anything. He tried to tell us midway through the season, you guys think it's going to get fixed, but I'm telling you, it ain't going to happen. And when you've had 5 different coordinators over the last 5 seasons, I mean, that's what they got in Philly. This is not, I don't think it's a Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown problem. I think it's a play caller problem. Sean Mannion hasn't a lot of experience. I mean, what pelts on the wall does he have that leads you to believe that he's the answer to the problem? I mean, I just want to know. Maybe you have the answer to that because I don't. I think this is I
think a lot of people said no to that job. That's what it sounded like to me.
Of course. Because you know why? It's a puppet on a string. You've got Howie Roseman at the top. You got a bunch of data analysts that to his left and to his right. And then you've got Nick Sirianni is being filtered through him to whoever the coordinator or play caller is. And that guy is trying to serve many masters. And guess what? AJ Brown knows it. He's not going to come out and say it because it wouldn't be right for a player to expose all of what's going on in front office. I don't think that player should get involved with that. But he's trying to tell you that something's wrong and it's broken and it can't be fixed. There's some dysfunction here. And I think most of us only see what happens with the quarterback and the receiver. We only see what happens on the field. But when you've been where I'm at, I cover the league top down. From New York all the way through all 32 clubs. You know this, Zach. You've been around as well. You've got to really look at other elements of how teams are structured. What are the inner workings of those franchises? Because all 32 operate differently. But if you think that product at the top doesn't filter to impact the product at the bottom, which is on the field, well, you know you got another thing to think about because that's exactly what's happening here.
Last thing I'll ask you, Solomon Wilcots from SiriusXM NFL Radio. The Bills came up short once again. The Chiefs weren't in the postseason. I kind of feel like the Chiefs are going to trade for Tyreek Hill this offseason. I think they're going to draft Jeremiah Love. They'll get Mahomes some more help as he comes back from the injury. Buffalo, they hired Joe Brady. They promote from within. That's a Josh Allen type of hire. How about the direction and the future of both the Bills and the Chiefs in your estimation?
First of all, I don't think the Chiefs bringing back Tyreek Hill. I think people should look at that injury and see it as a potential career ender, dislocation of a knee on a guy with speed and quickness and twitchiness. I just would pump the brakes on that one. They do need more talent at the 5 skill positions around the quarterback. I mean, that's just fact. It has not been the same. And I'm talking even about Travis Kelce, who the heart is willing, but Father Time is winning that battle. They have no running game to speak of. That's why they brought back Eric Bieniemy, and rightfully so, okay? Because Andy Reid recognized what's missing. So, yeah, they need more talent around the quarterback there. When it comes to the Buffalo Bills, they need better defense. They need edge rusher. They need a talented wide receiver. They have no real go-to guy. If Khalil Shakir, he's your slot corner. He's your number 3 guy. I mean, your tight ends are a better option. But look, he's been the most consistent guy, so give him a lot of credit. No one has stepped up to be the primary as a receiver. I think Joe Brady has supplemented the offense by having the offense go through James Cook, right? Whether it's a runner and a receiver. Cook has been phenomenal over the last couple of years since Joe Brady started calling plays. Their problems aren't even on offense, by the way, even though they are short a receiver, right? Their problems are on defense. You know, they have a cornerback in and Maxwell Harrison, excuse me, out of Kentucky didn't even play, right? They've got holes on the back end, injuries at linebacker that don't allow their best players to be on the field, and they have no pass rushers to even speak of. And this is what Sean McDermott was trying to say to Brandon Beane, but clearly that conversation went the wrong way because GMs take it personal when you come at their draft picks, right? And so there was a parting of the ways, I think, philosophically over just either how good or how bad the talent on the roster really is.
Your setup is great, by the way. There's a Bengals helmet. There's a bunch of footballs. I saw an Emmy was there. I also saw a Colorado helmet. So I have to end you on this, and I know that school is near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
I had Christian Fourier on yesterday, and he goes, I'm going to say this. People aren't going to like it. So I'm sitting there as a talk show host. Okay, what is he going to say? What is he going to say? He goes, I love Colorado. Some of my best memories are at Colorado in my life, but he does not like the coach in Deion Sanders, and he's out on him. Going into year 4, where do you think Coach Prime is at with Colorado from your view?
I like Deion Sanders. I think he's challenged because at the end of the day, he's winning. In terms, you're selling out every single game. He's selling out every hotel. All the things that really are very important for an institution and a football program, because they were at rock bottom when he walked in the door on both sides of the ledger. The money has been rolling in. The wins have not come, particularly over the last couple of years, and they haven't really won when they got into those bowl games, and we haven't gotten into the college football playoff system, which we should. And he talked about the fact that we have free agency in college football. Got to win games. But he's graduating students at a much higher rate with a higher grade point average than we ever have in school history. He's selling out the program. He's doing all of those things that they hired him to do. Now you got to start winning some games. And so Christian's not wrong. He's right. We got to win games because at the end of the day, that is the number one metric. But I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen coaches win games and not graduate students. I've seen coaches win games and not have college game day come out to the campus and not garner the kind of attraction and enthusiasm around the program, and it becomes flat. And those coaches have lost their jobs, okay? And you just saw it last year. It happened. So don't think that these coaches aren't graded across all of those verticals. And he is scoring high marks in some of those other verticals. Now we got to score high marks. And I think what is most important, and that is winning games on Saturday.
He's Solomon Wilcots. His great job, SiriusXM NFL Radio, one of the best voices talking about NFL all throughout the year. Solomon, great to see you in San Francisco. Appreciate you jumping on board with us.
Zach, you're the best, man. Keep up the good work, okay?
You got it. Thanks so much. There he is, Solomon Wilcots, joining us right here on 365 Sports. Let's do this, because there was some conversation about Maxx Crosby. There was some conversation also about A.J. Brown. Let's get some video your way. Here is Maxx Crosby responding to all these reports during Super Bowl week, emanating from Jay Glazer and then going through other people, that his time with the Raiders is coming to an end. This was along with Jim Gray on Let's Go via SiriusXM NFL Radio.
We're going to have rumors. I just looked at my phone. I've been working all morning. I got another, everyone's hit me up. Did you say this? I can't control that. You earn that as a player. If I wasn't doing the right things and if I wasn't the person and player I was, people wouldn't be talking about all the nonsense. If you have drama, if you have a losing season, they just try to throw gasoline on the fire. I know what I'm about. I really don't care what everybody has to say. I used to a lot as a young guy. I really don't give a damn. People could have their own opinions. I know what's going on. I know my truth. I don't need to sit here and keep rehashing it to people that don't know what's going on. My focus has been on getting healthy. Because that's all I can control right now. That's all that matters to me, is being with my daughters and being with my wife and taking care of myself.
You know what I didn't hear, Garrett, in that answer? I did not hear Maxx Crosby say that he'll definitely be back with the Raiders.
He didn't say it. He didn't say it.
This would be like if Paul Catalina asked me, hey, Zach, you going to the Super Bowl? And I was like, there's some rumors that maybe you're not going to the Super Bowl. And I'd be like, Paul, these people don't know what they're talking about. I can't control the narrative. I can't control the conversation. I'm at peace with people just talking about me. I never said, hey, I'm going. Just like how Maxx Crosby never said in that clip, in that excerpt, that I'm definitely staying. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. Now, just because where there's smoke, there's fire doesn't mean you can eventually put it out. But there's a reason this information is out there, just coming off an offseason a year ago where he got a contract extension, but that contract is very tradable because after this year, there's barely no dead cap money associated with it, with my understanding of the contract. I would have said yesterday, and I did say yesterday, Crosby is back, but I think this is a flip of a coin now. I think it's 50-50, and after hearing that answer, I would say it's 51-49 that Maxx Crosby has played his final game with the Raiders.
I think you're right. I also think Solomon brought up a good point on the timing or the aging of a player compared to a coach right there. And Maxx has given everything has. Every inch of his fabric has gone into making the Raiders as competitive as he can be week in and week out. And I think at some point, whether you look at like DeMarcus Lawrence or other players who have done it in the past,
How about Myles Garrett?
Myles
Myles Garrett did everything for the Browns, demanded a trade last year, and then took the contract. And yeah, he was Defensive Player of the Year this year, had a record-breaking season. But if I'm him, I'm sitting there saying, my career is just getting wasted with the Cleveland Browns.
No, so I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Like, there's where there's smoke, there's fire. At this point, I would not be surprised if he's playing somewhere else next season.
I will give the 31st overall pick and then some, and I will personally be the chauffeur for one Maxx Crosby to get him to the New England Patriots. That's what I'll say. Let's go to Clint Kubiak and Mark Davis on the future of Maxx Crosby with the Raiders.
To be a part of our success going forward. There's no doubt about that. He's one of the best players in the NFL. So that's a no-brainer to get to work with Maxx and to see him continue to have success with this organization.
Maxx has been a great Raider. He is a great Raider. He's gone through a lifetime of development here for 7 or 8 years, and he still is a Raider. So it's all good.
So there you go. That, by the way, is Mark Davis and also Clint Kubiak talking about Maxx Crosby. I'm reading something where I'm distracted here, Garrett. From Trey Wallace, who covers college football for Outkick. The judge in this Trinidad Chambliss situation, Robert Whitwell, is asking Trinidad Chambliss straight questions about his waiver argument. You never played a down in 2022, Trinidad Chambliss. No, sir. So if that's true, and right, you're under oath, and I'm not going to tell you I'm an expert about Trinidad Chambliss in 2022, but if the judge is asking you that, and that's the year that's in question, you never played a down, and you're allowed to play, what, in 4 games, I think it is now?
4. Yeah, you get 4 games.
But I don't know when that was changed, to be fair.
Well, if he's saying that he never played, then that doesn't matter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Still, that doesn't matter. But just that clip that was just posted and him saying no, I think Trinidad Chambliss is going to get an extra year of eligibility.
I mean, I would hope so. I just want to see the coach come back. I want to see the Ferris State coach get up there and confirm what Trinidad said. And then you have no way to deny it.
Okay, if Trinidad Chambliss does get an extra year of eligibility, do you have your top 10 list of college football quarterbacks still?
Let me pull this bad boy up. I do.
So mine was 10 Josh Hoover, 9 Brendan Sorsby, 8 Marcel Reed entering this season, 7 Sam Levitt, 6 Darian Mensah, 5 CJ Carr, 4 Gunnar Stockton, 3 Arch Manning, 2 Julian Sayin, and 1 Dante Moore. You got your 10?
I got my 10 right here.
Go ahead, give them to me.
All right, my 10 would be number 1 is Arch, number 2 is Dante, 3 Julian Sayin, Darian Mensah's 4, Josh Hoover's 5, CJ Carr 6, Sam Levitt 7, Gunnar Stockton 8, Brendan Sorsby 9, and Drew Mestamaker at 10.
If Trinidad Chambliss is playing next year, where does he get put?
I'm putting Trinidad Chambliss, if he plays next year, at number 3, which means I would have to – man, I don't want to drop Drew Mestamaker, though. I would – all right, so in that situation, I would put him at 3. I would probably take out –
Yeah, you got to drop Mestamaker in that.
Damn it. All right, yeah, that's only fair. You're right.
Like, if we're just being effective and we're just being fair, he was the 10th guy. Like I don't want to drop Josh Hoover.
No, I get it.
But I would have to drop him. Where would I put Trinidad Chambliss?
I mean, he's got to be up there, dude. Like,
and Kewan Lacey is back there.
Yeah.
I would say I'd probably put him. I would say I got to put him 2.
Yeah.
Maybe one. Yeah. Maybe 1. Like, he would enter potentially as the best college quarterback going into the year. He's got to be top 5.
Oh, he's definitely top 5. I don't know if he's number 1, though. I think top 3. I don't think you could leave him out of a top 3.
I would put, but like, then listen to this. I'm putting Dante Moore 1, Chambliss 2, Julian Same 3. I do feel dirty not having Arch in the top 3. But I'm fine with putting Arch at 4 because there's more of a prove-it type of year. I'd probably put Chambliss in at 2. I think there's a case that you could make the case that he'd be the number 1 quarterback viewed in college football entering next year.
No, you can. You can.
That is something to monitor. All righty, getting back to Maxx Crosby. This is Maxx Crosby on the team hiring Clint Kubiak, his reaction to it.
He's a well-established coach. Obviously the success he's had, it runs in the family as well. He's a kid that grew up, watching his dad had a lot of success as an NFL coach. some of those teams are some of my favorite teams to watch with J.J. Watt and Arian Foster back in the day. Dope-ass teams. But, yeah, he's got a great lineage of people that he's been around. He runs a great system and, has had a lot of success, being a coordinator. You've seen what he's done for Sam Darnold. He's maxed out. I wouldn't say maxed out, but he's brought the best out of a lot of his players, like we talked about, like getting, putting players in positions to, max out is their full potential. And I think he does a good job of that. So, it's you got to give him the credit, man. Nowadays in the league, there's a lot of, there's always trends and things that are going on throughout. Back in the day, I feel like it was, you need the old school veteran coach and, he's got to have the experience and do it this way. And now it's like kind of moving towards the Sean McVay, Liam Cohen, Kyle Shanahan, the younger, offensive-minded, kind of the Mike McDaniels, the cooler, coach and knows, like that just seems like what's been going on. So, things go in ebbs and flows, and obviously he's has a lot of respect from people around the league. So, I haven't talked to him or anything like that, but I know people talk really highly of him. My guy Foster was there in New Orleans with him, and same with Derek Carr. So yeah, he's had a lot of success everywhere he's gone.
Here's the thing. I think it's the right time for the Raiders to move off of Maxx Crosby. It's the right time for Maxx Crosby to move off the Raiders. I like the way that Tom Wilcots said it. So is there a chance that the Raiders go from the outhouse to the penthouse? Sure. Like that happens. You get the right quarterback. You get the right coach. Boom. You elevate into stardom. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, they went from the outhouse to first year together in divisional round to the playoffs. The Patriots, Drake May and Mike Vrabel, boom, into a Super Bowl. Like those things do happen in this league. Bo Nix, they were picking early in the draft. They get Bo Nix, Sean Payton, boom. They made the playoffs 2 years ago, and they made it again this year. So you could turn it around overnight if you get the right coach and you get the right quarterback. But for the Raiders, even though they have Bowers, even though they have Genti, even though they're going to get Mendoza, they got Colton Miller, they got to get another wide receiver. They got to fix that offensive line. Crosby is 28. Like, if I'm being fair about this, and I know Raiders fans don't want to hear this because they've heard this for a long time. If you say with the Raiders, what's your realistic expectation? Year one, it's a wash. Year two, get better. Year three, go compete to make the postseason. By then, Crosby's going to be 31. So you could probably get something similar to a Micah Parsons deal. Maybe you're not getting 2 1s. Maybe it's a 1 and a 2 because Crosby's a little bit older. If you could get a 1 and a 2 for Maxx Crosby, and it's all about acquiring assets and resources, I think even though you may not get a player better than him, and with the first round selection, a second round selection, that is something that you got to consider. Here is Rich Gannon, who was at the introductory press conference for Clint Kubiak. Maxx Crosby obviously was there as well. This is what Rich Gannon had to say, former MVP quarterback with the Raiders, on what he observed being around Maxx Crosby.
From the, because we have full access, which is awesome, to be able to do that. And so I go to the training room. I'm in there talking to one of my old, Scott Touche, one of the trainers for the Raiders, and, has been there for, 30 years. And we're sitting in his office talking. Who walks in? Maxx Crosby. So Max and I are talking. We're talking about everything about last year, this year, and his rehab. And dude, he's in the building every day. He's so dialed in. He's in the weight room working out. He's rehabbing. He's saying, I'm going to be fine in a couple of weeks. And it was just great to get a sense. All this nonsense about no longer wants to play for the Raiders, and that, I don't know that to be. I'm talking to him yesterday. That is not the furthest thing from that guy's mind. He feels like there's unfinished business. Is he tired and fatigued with all the turnover and starting over again? Absolutely. Who wouldn't be? But this guy, Bruce, is wired differently. And it was so much fun to be around him. He is a great player. And I say it all the time. If the Raiders just had 15 of those players or 20, they would never lose a game. And so talking to Max was great. He's
So there you go. That's Rich Gannon. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. When we come on back, we'll get into more about the future of A.J. Brown. Also, a quarterback who's retired that it's lining up for him to join someplace else. We'll tell you who that quarterback is when we come on back in a matter of moments on 365 Sports.
What I love most about playing basketball is the competition. I really just like being shifty, mastering hesitation moves, changing direction, building chemistry with new teammates. If you're not having fun while you're playing, there's no point in playing the game. You know what to do. Escape Basic. Pair of Thieves quick dry underwear. It wicks away sweat and helps keep you dry. You looking for a deficient season?
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
I'm here to work out with you.
We did not put this little cookie cutter program together.
I'm in there with you, sweating, yelling, doing the damn thing.
Transform by Core Home Fitness.
A secret, I travel internationally every year. I struggle with insomnia both at home and especially in hotels. This was life-changing. It's called Fly Kit. My favorite aspect of the Fly Kit is it tells you when to sleep.
Dude, check out this robe. This is the dude robe. It's perfect for after the shower, gym, or even the beach. This thing is awesome. It also has this super premium towel lining to dry you off right away. Dude, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a dude robe today.
At Dreamy, we believe that life can be upgraded in comfort, convenience, and joy. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Welcome back in, Zach Gelb Show, right here on 365 Sports. Unfortunate news. Caleb Wilson had a great first half on Saturday, a game I was doing for Compass Media Networks, as UNC came back. They didn't lead during at any point in the game until the end, where they had a game-winning three-point shot. I think it was Seth Trimble who hit the game-winning shot, if memory serves me right, through the euphoria of that. But then they did go out, they played Miami, they lost to Miami, and Caleb Wilson, it has now been announced, this is from John Rothstein, that Caleb Wilson is out with a fracture in his left hand. That's from a press release from UNC. The evaluation process is ongoing to determine a timetable for a return. Massive news in college basketball. Not that I thought, by the way, Garrett Ross, that UNC was going to be like a big-time threat in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Wilson's having a sensational freshman season. And not only that, like you look at the freshmen in college basketball, from Cameron Boozer to Darren Peterson whenever he plays, A.J. DeBanza, Kingston Fleming, just to name a few. And there's others. Like, this just stinks because from someone – that likes college basketball, but like a lot of us, and I do college basketball now for Compass, so I'm watching it more than ever. But, you know, not being in college anymore, like last year, all right, yeah, I do some college basketball in February, but you really parachute in conference tournament weekend, and then you for the NCAA tournament. The storylines to me so far this year have been the freshmen. They're going to be one and done and be going to the NBA draft. But all those guys are on some schools that are in the top 25 and should be big players in the NCAA tournament. And now who knows when Caleb Wilson will be back.
No, that really sucks if you're him and if you're North Carolina in general. Hopefully he can get back by tournament. Honestly, I wouldn't rush him back. I would just kind of let it be right now because I think the way North Carolina is sitting, you should have a good seed come tournament time. Also, I think everything's pushed back
this year, like a week, because I would have assumed that the NCAA tournament was going to start on that Thursday, March 12th, because I'm out on that Thursday, March 12th and the 13th. I'm going to be in Orlando for a buddy's bachelor party. And I'm like, it kind of sucks. I'm going to miss the first week of the NCAA tournament. But I looked last night. That's just conference tournament, which I love being here in New York, going to the Big East tournament. But the tournament doesn't start until the following week. So what are we? We're currently like a month out from conference tournament. And then you get the next week and you're like, depending where UNC is, can a 15 beat a 2 or can a 14 beat a 3? Sure. But it's not inconceivable that he comes back.
No, it's not. I think he'll be back. I hope he's back. I think it's good for the game in general. But yeah, dude, the amount of freshmen this year has been absurd. And I wish we were in a situation where you could see some of these guys come back. Like, I don't want to see so many one and dones. Like, I know I sound like an old man, but I truly miss like watching teams build and just grow together. And I think it's also hurt the NBA. I think the NBA sucks because the talent, like the players aren't being properly developed. And when you get up there, like you're having to constantly still work to get the most out of them. But no, this is going to make for a fun tournament. Kingston Flemings is one of my favorite players, the point guard from Houston. He's so cold. He's one of my favorite players this year. But no, dude, like the amount of talent from freshmen is absurd. And I hope that we can see, I would love to see some more of them stay behind and grow, but I understand that that's not realistic.
And if I look at the latest mock draft that I'm seeing in the NBA, the first 7 picks right now are freshmen in college basketball.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure after that it's going to be international players.
No, there's a player from, let me just see here, Kentucky. There's a player from Kentucky who's a sophomore. Okay. And then you have another freshman at 10, Koa Pete. Yeah, who's having a good season in Arizona. So like right now, then after that, you got Braylon Mullins, from UConn. Let's see. Yaxel Lendenborg, he's obviously at Michigan, but he transferred. The first 11 picks, I think you have 10 freshmen that are in college basketball now.
That's ridiculous.
And those teams are all, they're all going to be in the NCAA tournament. Like Darren Peterson is projected to go 1 from Kansas. AJ DeBanza is projected to go 2 from BYU. Cameron Boozer is projected to go 3 out of Duke. Caleb Wilson, who just had the fracture, is projected to go 4 out of UNC. Keaton Wagler, who's a tremendous player at Illinois, and Brad Underwood has another good team with the Fighting Illini. He's projected to go 5. Kingston Fleming's the guy we talked about, projected to go 6 out of Houston. Mikhail Brown out of Louisville is projected to go 7th. Nada Ment out of Tennessee, who will be in the NCAA tournament. Jaden Quaidance, who is a sophomore, out of Kentucky. He's projected to go 9th. Koa Pete out of Arizona is projected to go 10th, another freshman. Braylon Mullins out of UConn is projected to go 11th. And then you have Yaxel Lendenborg out of Michigan, who transferred over from UAB. He's obviously not a freshman. He's a senior. He's projected to go 12th. So you have in the first 12 picks of the NBA draft, in the mock draft right now, 10 out of the 12 are freshmen, which make it, as long as if everybody stays healthy, what should be a fun NCAA tournament with a lot of youngsters where, how many years, I've been to the last few NBA drafts. How many times you go there? And, Wemby was different. But, how many times you go there and you're like, oh, Zachary Reese-Shea, what the heck do I know about?
Yeah, exactly.
We want to see guys play college basketball in America.
No, we really do. And I think having this good crop makes the game better. It makes you actually want to tune in and watch. Because for me, I'm not an avid basketball fan. I used to be, but I'm not as much anymore. But I have paid more attention this year than the past couple of seasons just because of the amount of talent you have out there. And the parity. I think it makes the game better.
Yeah. No, hey, just the other night, you saw Arizona, who was undefeated entering the year. And, what were they, 22-0, and Arizona just lost a game to Kansas. And Kansas didn't even have Darren Peterson.
Yep.
So they didn't have arguably their best player. All righty, let's get to Jeremy Fowler. This was on the ESPN earlier this AM. Jeremy Fowler on the future of A.J. Brown.
Philadelphia, the latest on the Eagles and A.J. Brown.
Well, some people I've talked to around the league, some executives with other teams, do expect that the Eagles will at least entertain a trade for A.J. Brown, who was unhappy on numerous fronts. I mean, name the counts where he looked like he was miserable out there, body language wasn't good. So something has to give. That's sort of the feeling right now. They could build around Devontae Smith and some other pieces, Saquon, maybe add a wide receiver. So he would create a haul for the Eagles if they do go that route. Nothing has happened as of yet, but there are a lot of changes coming with the Eagles. We've seen them revamp basically their entire offensive staff. Do they pay Jalen Carter? One question around the league is, do they draft a quarterback maybe in day two to apply a little bit of pressure on Jalen Hurts, who I believe is at a crossroad right now after the way last season went. And Jalen Hurts was drafted in the second round, eventually replaced Carson Wentz, who got a massive deal just that offseason before. Does that same thing now happen to Jalen Hurts eventually?
Two things to unpack there. And he's right. I remember doing that draft show. I was talking to Donovan McNabb as the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts. We'll never forget that. And Carson Wentz was put on the clock. Even though he just won a Super Bowl MVP a year ago and has been to another Super Bowl, does Howie Roseman put his quarterback on the clock? And why I struggle with that is, like, all right, maybe you send a message, but this is not a strong quarterback draft class. So if they draft Carson Beck in the 3rd or 4th round, does that signal to me that, oh, the Eagles are about to replace Jalen Hurts? No, and everyone in that building loves the backup quarterback right now, who I'm not holding my breath and thinking that he's going to amount to anything. I think here's the dilemma right now. The Eagles want to make this work with A.J. Brown. And yes, A.J. Brown has had problem with the play callers, so I think much changes from Kevin Patullo to Sean Mannion. Probably not. It's tough to imagine, though, that getting worse. There is a legitimate problem with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. So quarterback, wide receiver, usually quarterback wins out. I think, though, you need a big return if you're the Eagles. Like, I think right now you could get a 2nd-round pick for A.J. Brown. Can you get conditions put in it that it moves up to a 1st? Plausible. But if I'm the Eagles, this is what I would do. If I'm Philadelphia and I say to myself, I'm done with A.J. Brown, our quarterback Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, they can't coexist anymore. I'm calling up Buffalo and I'm calling up New England. And I'm saying to Buffalo, you just lost the division to New England. I'm saying to New England, you lost that second matchup to Buffalo. You need a number 1 wide receiver for Drake May. That's evident. Let's have a bidding war, gentlemen. You guys want A.J. Brown? We want to trade him. Right now, we think we get a 2nd-round pick. Who's giving us a 1st-round pick? And what else? And that's a way where you could put two teams up against one another, and you could use Buffalo and New England to find a way to get the most back for a player of the caliber of A.J. Brown. Like, that's what the Eagles should be doing if they're operating from the line of thinking that, okay, we're going to trade A.J. Brown this offseason. If they want to keep A.J. Brown, then go ahead and keep him. And if you want to deal with all this drama and all this nonsense and all this inner fighting and the offense, even though they could obviously use him, but maybe it gets held back in another year because there's chemistry problems, then that's the risk that you're going to have to play. And, like, you got to ask yourself, is the juice still worth the squeeze with A.J. Brown? Or do you say, this year, we kind of reached our boiling point. We realize that this can no longer work. We thank you for the Super Bowl. We got to get rid of you. And if that's the case, you call up Buffalo, you call up New England, and you say, gentlemen, let's get to work. Let's start a bidding war for A.J. Brown. All righty. Let's get to Derek Carr. This is Derek Carr with his brother. And Derek Carr, there's this report that, you know, maybe he comes out of retirement, the shoulders heal. Maybe he's going to come back and play football this year. They have to work out a trade. I believe the Saints still have his rights. This is Derek Carr just gassing up the Jets and Aaron Glenn.
I love Aaron Glenn.
I love
Glenn's
Aaron
a good
Glenn.
friend.
Great golfer, good friend.
Okay. Love Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Okay. I talk to him whenever it's viable. All right. Okay. I love Aaron Glenn. Okay.
It might be viable soon.
Okay.
Your green sweatshirt.
You're wearing green?
Yeah.
Mine was for Christmas tree.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Listen, I love him, but I also love Jet fans. Here's why. Okay.
I can't believe you're saying
this. I checked Cover Zero
fans.
Little deal. I throw this game winner.
Yeah.
Henry Ruggs. Okay. Jet fans, because we helped them get a worse draft pick, donated to Valley Children's Hospital.
Oh, that's cool.
They're like, Derek, I got so many tweets. Thank you so much.
That's cool.
And Valley Children's even was like telling me, we're getting so many New Jersey and New York calls right now to donate.
Awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Jet fans,
well done there.
I love you.
I'll give you that.
Thank you for helping the kids.
What a clip, by the way. Henry Ruggs, we know what happened with him. But I think I remember that. I think Greg Williams' defensive coordinator then got fired. Adam Gase, I believe, was the coach. And he kind of went rogue, Greg Williams, and he called the blitz, and then boom, wide open was Ruggs, and then Carr found him for the touchdown to go win that game. But here's a little tea leaf that you may want to read into. The Jets have hired Bill Musgrave as their quarterback coach for the 2026 season. Musgrave and Derek Carr worked together with the Raiders from 2015 to 2016, which were some of the strongest years Derek Carr has ever had in the NFL. So does bringing in Musgrave and Aaron Glenn knowing that he's on the hot seat right now and he needs a veteran quarterback in there, and hey, Derek Carr, who I think is overrated, and he may never be the same quarterback again after the injury, but he's a solid quarterback. He's a functional quarterback in this league. Does that mean that Derek Carr is going to be? I think in some capacity, because the Jets, right, they're picking 2 and 16. I don't think they're taking a quarterback at 2. I think they're going to wait to use one of those three first-round picks next year on a quarterback. You know, I don't think you should take quarterback at 16. I'm not a believer in Ty Simpson on the next level. I could see them trying to put lipstick on a pig this year with Derek Carr. That would be my guesstimation right now. All righty, fun show today. Big thanks to each and every one of you for tuning on in. You can always give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. You can find me on TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show. Also, if you're watching us live right now, just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If you're listening to us and consuming our product after the show, however and whenever you're listening to us, go to youtube.com/@365sportsyt. youtube.com/@365sportsyt. And we would really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button for us. Big thanks to each and every one of you for tuning on in. Big thanks to Solomon Wilcots. Big thanks to Garrett Ross. We will be back tomorrow on a very busy Friday edition of the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports right at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk tomorrow, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.